So again, one of the things I find interesting about these attacks is that both of them used the car renting application called Turo, Turo. Turo is the name of the application that was used. Now, again, it could be a coincidence that both attacks happened on the same day using the same car rental company to be able to accomplish their goals. But I don't find that likely that it's just a coincidence. But I did want to look into a little bit as to work if you want to rent your car on Turo. I wanted to look into it and kind of see how similar it is to ride sharing. Like how similar is it to Uber and Lyft? Specifically, how is it, how is it when it comes to insurance? How is it when it comes to the protection of the people who are opting in, and for them giving information about how to, how to deal with certain issues that might arise if you do want to list your car on this Turo application, service, what have you. That being said, I'm not an expert on Turo. I've just started looking at this today. If anybody who's a Turo representative would like to come on the show and counter anything I say about this particular issue or anything else, you're more than welcome to come on the show and talk about it. I welcome you to come on the show to talk about the concerns that I'm currently or will be raising about the Turo application. One of the things that I think that is important to bring up, though, is when I was doing rideshare, when I was driving for Uber and Lyft, I, made sure to become an expert on everything so I could know what I'm doing and make sure that my insurance would cover it. I think at the time I had Liberty Mutual insurance, and before I signed up for, to drive for Uber and then for Lyft, I said, okay, Liberty Mutual, is this can I do this? Can I drive for Uber and Lyft? Because people on like Geico and other insurers were kicking them off their plans if they were doing rideshare driving along with the other insured activities. Even though at the time you were fully insured with like $1 million policies or whatever for all circumstances under Uber and Lyft. So your individual automobile insurance policy would not be affected whatsoever if you happen to get into an accident while driving for Uber or Lyft. But Uber and Lyft didn't tell you, hey, you should or not in a wide, well-known way, hey, maybe you should consider looking at your insurance policy and calling up your insurance agent or your insurance representatives to find out whether or not driving for Uber and Lyft is going to cause you to lose your insurance. And, I'm not trusting of big corporations when it comes to this. And so I took the needed steps to find this information out for myself. So I wanted to kind of see what, because this is a slightly different model. It's very similar, but it's a slightly different model that Turo uses because other people are driving your car instead of you. But if you're letting other people drive your car, is this going to affect your insurance whatsoever? It took me at least 5 clicks on the Turo website. Going to insurance and then clicking on another link and then clicking on another link and then clicking on another link to find this line right here. You must have personal auto insurance policy to be a host on Turo and must follow all applicable registration and insurance laws and regulations. Before listing your car on Turo, contact your insurer to ensure they allow car sharing and that your participation on Turo won't affect your personal policy. Now, it's on the website, so they can claim it was on our website. But it took me 5 clicks to get there. It took me a lot of digging to get down in there. How many people who are going to think, oh, I could rent my car out to people on Turo when I don't need it? How many people are going to take the time to go look at this and say, hey, I need to call my insurer before signing up for this, to lease my car or rent my car to other people on this platform? Again, it was stupid, back in the day, to require for the insurance companies to reject it simply because of the fact that, again, that insurance would not be in effect. Basically, Liberty Mutual said, you can drive rideshare, your policy just won't be in effect anymore, or at the time you're in an accident, if the accident takes place when you're on the clock. But then something happened. Something happened that was very important. Lyft started doing it, and then Uber started doing it as well. Instead of giving the same full coverage for all accidents that might happen, Uber and Lyft stopped covering uninsured motorist policies, or will only cover it to the required minimum required in the state. So you might have $1 million liability policy when driving for Uber if you hit somebody who is insured, or if somebody hits you that's insured. But now if somebody is uninsured and hits your car while you're doing a ride on Uber, guess what? It's only going to be covered for the state minimum, and you might be on the hook for a whole bunch. You might not be able to get your car replaced. You might be SOL. The same thing applies that I've seen. And again, if there are any Turo representatives who see this and have a disagreement with it, you're more than welcome to come on the show. Let me know. Email me, liberaldaneradio@gmail.com, or you can call, or we can schedule a call-in for you to have this conversation with us and let us know why I'm wrong about this. But from what I've read, you will only be covered for the state minimum when you have an uninsured motorist. The one thing I haven't been able to find. Now there are policies that you can buy as a passenger, as a driver of Turo as well. So if you're driving somebody else's car, you can use your own insurance like you can with a rental policy, or you can get an insurance policy through Turo. One of the things that Turo does not cover when it comes to that individual driving your car is that it does not cover illegal actions. So here's a list of it's a non-exhaustive list. Prohibited vehicle uses and activities involving a vehicle booked through Turo include the following, but I think it's not exhaustive. They say that in another link. Allowing the vehicle to be pushed or pulled or towed by anyone other than authorized law enforcement or service vehicle. Driving a stick without knowing how to use a clutch and a stick. Disregarding Turo's restrictions for traveling across certain country borders. Driving without a valid license. Engaging in or as part of the commission of a crime or any other illegal activity or purpose. So if this person took out insurance, which I doubt he did, the person, that person is not going to be able to be covered when it comes to those actions. Those actions that they use to, blow up the Cybertruck outside of Trump Tower, or to drive through a crowd of people in New Orleans, those actions are not covered. So then, is it how much more likely or how much less likely is it going to be that an individual is going to be able to recoup their losses when you rent out your car via Turo? That's a question that I'd like to see, because there's a whole bunch of working parts. I'm not an expert on this. I just started looking at his website today. But if I was going to rent my car out to people on Turo this day and beyond, I would absolutely have to wonder what is going to happen if my car that is rented out is used for things like this. How hard will it be to get my vehicle replaced? How hard will it be for me to get compensated when the driver's insurance that they offer does not include using the vehicle for illegal means? So that means that it's going to have to come from the individual who was shot in New Orleans, or who blew themselves up in Vegas. That person's, estate, since they're both dead, are now going to have to pay for whatever cost that they might have to recoup from it. And then what? Then how likely is it going to be? And, is there going to be an issue on their plans? They have several different plans, one of which has no deductible or co-payment or whatever. There's no deductible on what you have to pay for your car to get fixed, but you only get 60% of the trip price as opposed to higher versions. So people are going to be like, well, why would I want to only get 60% when I can get 85 or 90%? Now, the 90% plan also requires a $2,500 deductible. Um, it covers 100% of the eligible damage costs above the deductible. What is an eligible damage? What is not eligible damage? There's no replacement vehicle during the repair. Doesn't include exterior wear and tear and reimbursement. Doesn't include loss of hosting during the repair. So the loss of ability of you to rent your car out with some of the other plans, you can get more money if you don't have the ability to, drive around while you're waiting for your vehicle to be repaired as well. But so let's say this person opted in for the 60 plan, the person who rented his vehicle out on Turo. What then happens is he going to be able to easily recoup his money? Is he going to are they considered eligible damage costs even though the car was used in the commission of a crime? What else? Like, what we're going to see probably over the next week, maybe a few weeks, maybe month, we're going to see how the people who rented their cars out under the Turo application on the Turo platform, we're going to see how Turo responds to that, and then how, if the people go public, how the people, how those people are going to say, okay, well, did I have problems? Did I not have problems? If they didn't have problems, is that going to cause Turo to be able to rent less vehicles or have less vehicles on their platform because they potentially might refuse to pay for certain parts of the replacement? Again, I don't know. It's not very clear as to what happens if you, as the person who's renting out your vehicle, has your vehicle used in the commission of a crime. It's clear that the driver policy does not come into play because you committed a crime with it. But does that affect the ability of the owner of the vehicle to get reimbursed? Or are they going to reimburse the full price of the vehicle, whatever the estimated value of the vehicle is? Are they going to do that and then worry about the rest later? Are they going to basically take on the requirements themselves, or is their insurer going to take on the ability to go after the person who was the renter of the vehicle? Or is it going to be much more difficult for these people because it was used in the commission of a crime? That's what I'd like to know. And I couldn't find any answers on that yet. I've searched many different ways. I found many different pages on the Turo website. I couldn't find it. So what do you think? Have you rented your car out via Turo, or have you rented a car via Turo? Do you have anything to comment on the experience that you had when you did that? Are you somebody who works from Turo and wants to say whether or not the people who own these vehicles are going to be able to get reimbursed for the cost because their cars were used in the commission of a crime? Let me know in the comments below, or especially if you actually work for Turo or you represent Turo. Send me an email, liberalnradio@gmail.com. Let me know what should be added to the conversation about this, because I'm more than happy to inform more people. But as somebody who drove for rideshare in the past, I have hesitation and think that, these companies are, to save money, are going to try and weasel their way out of all sorts of different ways to pay you, make sure that you're made whole. Because again, if you drive for Uber and Lyft and you're hit by somebody, and you're on the platform and you're giving a ride and you're hit by somebody with uninsured motorist, you're only going to get covered for the minimum. And if your personal insurance doesn't cover anything, that's going to come out of your pocket, your own personal pocket. You're going to be on the hook for that money. I need to add this part before the video ends, because Moon Girl over on Twitch made a very good point. Will the owner of the vehicle, or can the owner of the vehicle, be held responsible for damages done by their vehicle if somebody else was renting it through the Turo platform? That is another great question that needed to be included in this video, which is why I'm tacking it here at the end. Should they be able to? I would say no, because it wasn't them driving, but it was his vehicle. It was the owner's vehicle. So is it possible that these people could go after not just the Turo application itself or the insurance policy that's being held, but if the insurance policy held by the passenger doesn't cover things done in the commission of a crime, and if that person's individual insurance policy doesn't cover things that are, either done in the commission of a crime, or also it could just exceed the policy limits that might have per accident, will it then, even if they do reimburse the costs of the overall vehicle to the owner, will the owner then be on the hook for the remaining damages done by the vehicle to the 30 people who are injured and the other 15 people that have since passed away or were murdered by this terrorist here in New Orleans. Another question to ask, because that will greatly, if it turns out that this individual is on the hook, the owner of the vehicle is on the hook for the actions that were done with his vehicle by somebody else, then that's going to make it a lot less likely that people are going to use the Turo application. You disagree with any of the points made in this video? Remember to put your comments down in the comment section, like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and as always, have a good day.